It's, you know, something you want to be cautious about, but I think the most important thing to know is that you don't have to pump and dump that milk. You may have to pump because you feel really uncomfortable. You may feel just because you're full. But then if you pump that milk, then maybe you can mix it with other milk that you've pumped other times. You can mix it in with that. So never throw breast milk away, ever, ever, ever.
Is it okay to breastfeed?
Even if what?
Yeah.
Stressing?
Stressing.
Yes. Yep. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
You actually help your baby if you're sick.
Yeah.
Antibodies.
Yeah. Your body is making, you know, antibodies to fight off whatever you're sick with, and your baby's going to get those directly.
And before you go on to another question, tacking this on to the alcohol question, marijuana, cannabis is also something that you can consider. And MJ and I did a really cool podcast with a couple of kick-ass experts all about marijuana and moms. So I believe that link is on the Facebook, but we'll make it available to you again. And that way you can find out about smoking pot when pregnant or breastfeeding.
So, and on the military donor milk, do you guys have any questions? I know for 18 months for my baby, I fed him. We're still obviously, you know, nursing, but I fed him via supplemental nursing system. It's called an SNS. So I know a lot about milk sharing. There are questions that you can ask them on that kind of do make you feel more comfortable. So if you want more information, you can get us through Facebook or here or
And also, I was able to wet nurse a friend's baby when she was having a hard time feeding him. So if you have questions about that, I'm here too.
Yes. I have a friend that smokes weed and breastfeeds the baby. Does that affect the baby in any way?
Studies have shown that it is minimal, but what you need to do is if you watch that video, it's like an hour long and you'll get all of the background information because I don't want to misspeak because I'm not an expert and I can't remember exactly what was said, but it's not as bad as people make it out to be.
and not a lot of studies are done too.
Right. That's the challenge with a lot of these things is there just isn't a lot of information. Knowing how the body works and how we metabolize things and the amount of what's getting through the breast milk, we can sort of, we can kind of guess. But the same thing with even prescription or over-the-counter prescription drugs. If you have to take something, a lot of doctors will tell you to pump and dump or not breastfeed. There are very few drugs out there where you actually have to pump and dump. For the most part, anything that you take is fine.
My ex-boyfriend said it's bad to give a breastfeeding while I was drinking alcohol. Is that good or no?
If you're not feeling, if you feel drunk, it's not a good idea to breastfeed the baby. If you've had a drink and you're not feeling it, it's okay. The rule is to wait usually 2 hours per drink. So if you have 2 drinks, you want to wait 4 hours before you feed your baby. But if you feel sober before then, if you no longer feel drunk, then there's not alcohol in your milk and you can feed the baby.
Yeah, because it's
Nope, you don't have to. Nope, it leaves your milk the same way it does your body.
I have a question. Does it affect the child from previous others, but since you're saying that it doesn't affect the child with milk, the difference in breastfeeding, does it affect even when it's not you're pregnant?
Yes.
That was covered in that conversation that we had with the expert.
Can you repost that one? That's used.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I would probably agree with OG Mamacita that you guys watch that. I will say that the way that things are delivered to the baby when they're in utero is much different than how it's delivered to the baby through your milk. It's a direct connection with the umbilical cord. When you're pregnant and it's going through your milk, your body is metabolizing it before it's passed to the baby. When baby's in utero, it's like a direct line. So there is a difference between
And there's a
the two.
difference in how much you consume, how you consume, all of those factors matter when you're pregnant and when you're breastfeeding.
Also, my son stopped breastfeeding until 9 or 10 months. And because my son stopped giving her breast, like milk. And later I take them out and then he smell it, and he open it, but he won't let it.
So he's kind of refusing the,
Yeah.
sometimes that can happen when babies have a lot of bottles. After a while, and especially as they get older, they learn that the bottle is easier for them than the breast. You know, the bottle, we tip the bottle up like this and the milk just kind of drips into their mouth. When at the breast, you know, they're the ones that have to work to get it out. And as they get older, they get smart. And they know, okay, this way is easy street. This way, I've got to work. So, you know, do you want to continue breastfeeding?
Well, I feel like the easiest, that one is 1 year old. And definitely use the bottle.
So you pumped and gave it to him in a bottle, you mean? I mean, and you still feel, do you feel like the milk is gone from your breast, or is there still some there? Yeah, it can take a while for it to totally, you know, if the only time I wouldn't, you know, pump or anything unless you feel really, really uncomfortable, then maybe pump just a little bit, but otherwise over time, it will go away. Is that your question? Is there somebody back here?
Okay, so I'm gonna stop the questions right now in regard to actual breastfeeding so that, Ashley will have a chance to talk about her profession of a lactation consultant. And MJ and I will make sure that, that you have our Facebook and our Google Plus information, you have our business cards, and then let us know if we need to add you to the Lindsay Tribe, which is a private Facebook group just for this class. Okay? Okay?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay.
So the job as a lactation consultant, I do get paid. There are a couple of different ways that you can be a lactation consultant. If you want to go to nursing school and become a nurse, you can be a lactation consultant in the hospital, and then you're working with moms sort of on day 1 and 2, right after they've had their babies. Do you have a question?
Do you have to have a baby to be?
You don't. Nope, you don't have to have a baby. I would say that it helps me sort of understand, because a lot of my job is, you know, it's helping the mom with the specific breastfeeding issues, but a lot of it is just, I mean, you guys know, especially, I mean, those of you who have babies, you know what a kind of crazy time that is, the first couple weeks after having your baby. It's such a new thing, you've never done this before. I mean, it changes your whole life, and so I think having had that experience, it helps me to talk to moms a little bit more. I am not an RN, I'm not a nurse, so I am what's called a private lactation consultant, where I see moms out of the hospital. So I see them at their homes or in our office.
You're that person that they ask before you leave the hospital if you want to nurse the house, the lactation.
So there are programs I know where they through the Department of Home and Health Services, where they send, that is, those are usually nurses as well. And I would encourage any of you, if you have that opportunity, to sign up and be somebody that the home health nurses can come and see, do it. Many of them have some breastfeeding or education, and so they'll be able to help you with that. So people pay me privately. So moms, if they're having problems and they didn't get enough help in the hospital, they pay me privately, either to come to my office to see me, or I go to their home. The education, you don't need a college degree. There are certain college courses that you need to have. You need to have like anatomy and physiology, nutrition, but you don't need to have a full college degree, but you can take just, you know, these classes that you need. And then there's a program through UCSD, through their extension. The first thing is you can become a lactation educator. And that class is just a couple months long. Most of it is online, so you do a lot of your work online. And then the class to become a lactation consultant is about a year.
So that's one class, lactation educator?
Yes, and you have to become a lactation educator before you become a lactation consultant. So a lactation educator can run a breastfeeding support group. They can do phone triage, like in a doctor's office. They can answer breastfeeding questions over the phone, and they can teach breastfeeding classes. So that's what a lactation educator does. A lactation consultant is the one who comes in. normally I'm coming in when the issues are beyond kind of the normal, when there may be issues with baby's not feeding well, or issues, there's something wrong with mom's supply. I'm usually dealing with the problems. It's a really fun job because I'm done having kids, but I still get to play with babies, so.
And one more the super part.
Yes, and then I get to hand them back and go home and sleep all night, so.
I have a question, how old are your kids?
4 and 7.
So how long does the process take to become a lactation consultant?
Well, it's because you need the prerequisites. It took me, I do have a college degree, but I didn't have any science classes at all. And so it took me probably 3 years total, but I also was having kids in the meantime, so I wasn't kind of going straight through. It took me probably 3 years. I took the prerequisites through community colleges, through, where did I take it? I can't remember now, it must have been Mesa. I took the classes that I needed there, I took a couple online. And then the nice thing about the Lactation Educator is that it's an online program, so it's easy to kind of fit in. I was still working then. The Lactation Consultant, that's about a year long. It's coursework that's online, but then you're also doing in-person clinical hours. So I trained at a hospital, I did rounds with all the lactation consultants. And so you have some hands-on experience as well.
Can you make a living from that, or like could a girl do that as a profession?
Absolutely, definitely. And I think especially nursing, if you decide that you want to be a lactation consultant, having your nursing degree, it opens up your ability to work as a lactation consultant. The hospitals in California won't hire you to work as a lactation consultant unless you're also a nurse. So
About how much does it cost to go through the process?
Mm-hmm. So it costs, I don't know about the prereqs, that depends on where you do it, the prerequisite, but the actual program, I want to say it was $3,000 for the class, and about probably $400 or $500 for the Lactation Educator. There are some scholarships and things that are available. The San Diego Breastfeeding Coalition does a scholarship every year. There are internship situations available where you can intern with the lactation consultant, and then they pay for part of the fee, and then you pay for part of your fee. And I think one of the big things that's happening sort of in the lactation world right now is talking about how we can make more access for people to become lactation consultants, because it isn't very easy right now. And so there's a lot of work that's being done to make it more available and accessible to other people. So if it's something that at some point you're interested in, I would absolutely encourage you to get in touch with me, and I can help you find some there are ways to do it without having to just straight out pay.
And how much does a lactation consultant or a lactation educator charge on these visits or consultations?
So we charge for a home visit $175, and for an office visit $110. I think the nurses in the hospital probably make between $20 and $30 an hour.
Crazy.
The nice thing about the job is it's part-time, so I have kids, so I can work it around their schedule, because it's, moms can be, they're breastfeeding at all hours of the day and night, so it's not necessarily between 8 and 5, so I can do the job while they're at school.
And I know that how I met Ashley was through Robin, and Robin was my lactation consultant, and I know that Robin and I were texting each other at all hours of the day and the night.
We only do that with the clients we like.
Right.
I'm just kidding.
Yay! So it's, if you hear the $175 and you're like, oh, that,
But you have support from me until, you have support from us until you wean. So I have moms that I'll see, and then 2 months later, they email me and they have questions about this and this. And so, I mean, it's ongoing support. It's not just a one time and then you'll never hear from us
Like
again.
when you're waiting in the doctor's office for hours and you're waiting for your appointment, and you don't have to wait, you would have like email or text, direct contact with these practitioners.
Yeah. So if you were thinking about doing it as a profession, that's also something to consider as far as the flexibility of hours are concerned, that you could be helping somebody while you're waiting for dinner to cook. You don't even have to leave your home to do your job, which is a really awesome
good.
opportunity.
And then sometimes bad.
Yeah, sometimes good, sometimes bad.
The other thing that so the San Diego Breastfeeding Center, and we're actually just right up the street on 4th Avenue, we have a low-cost clinic every Friday that is available for moms who have either TRICARE, military, Medi-Cal, or WIC. So those moms qualify for our low-cost clinic. It's only $25. It's 90 minutes. You get the same, everything you get in a private consultation that normally costs between $110 and $175. The only difference is there may be up to 2 to 3 moms. So there may be 2 to 3 moms in the room at a time. And so we have that every Friday at our office. So that's something that's available for any of you after you have your babies if you're having challenges.
And yeah, that's awesome. And if you can go before you have your baby to a support group.
Yes, and we run a support group every Wednesday. I invite all pregnant moms to come to the support group. It's a nice way to kind of chat with other moms. I mean, a lot of you have the benefit of having friends here who have had babies and may have breastfed, but, and the support groups are available for you after you have your baby as well. Place to come and get some help and weigh your baby, and I can check out how things are going.
And those are still free?
Yes, the support groups are free.
You can get a lot of information about those too.
Oh,
Just whoever you're sitting next to.
Right.
You know, you start making.
Yeah, it's a lot of mom-to-mom support, which is really important, I think. You know, as OG Mama